So welcome everybody to the second hour of Mindshifters Radio. Today is Friday, January the 29th, 2021. And their call-in number is 563-999-3581. And press 1, and that puts you into queue to talk to us. And we'd love to hear your comments and questions because it makes it your show. And before I welcome Michael there, just say a couple things. Sunday will be our anniversary, completing our 10th year. So we'll be going into our 11th year of doing this radio show. And so that's awesome. And then also thank you to Scott. The apology tool is now on the website, so you can find that under the worksheets to print. So welcome, Michael.
Cool, and appreciate all the help from our friends that help us to move it forward and do things like that suggestion, Scott, was a great one, and pass it on to others and in this project of making these absolutely precious tools available to every mind, heart, and being on the planet. So we're delighted that you're here to be part of the conversation. We've had a couple of good rollicking shows the last few days, and we just keep moving forward, layer by layer, level by level, brain cell by brain cell. And you know, in this work, when we talk about building brain cells, that's the primary thing that has to happen. As long as we are entrapped, if we do not have developed intuition, as long as we're entrapped in the perceptual mind can only reflect and what is firing in brain cells. You know, we talked the other day about hypnosis. So the person standing on the stage in an auditorium somewhere is told that they're standing on the deck of a ship and they're in a state of somnambulism, which means that they're going to uncritically accept the voice of the hypnotist. So the source of their perceptual construct, the stimulus,
Michael,
that which
there
resonates.
is a lot of crackling. There's a lot of crackling on your end.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now?
It's a lot of crackling. Yes.
Okay, give me just a second here. Let me change microphones over.
All right. Technicalities.
Technically.
Yes. And you didn't read from your book yesterday while we're waiting on you to get on, just as a reminder.
All right.
So you got 2 days to catch up.
Right in the conversation, didn't it? Okay.
It is still crackling.
Is that better? Pardon me?
That's much better. That's much better right there.
Better? Good.
Yep.
Okay. Just changed out microphones. I'll take this over and throw it away. So if we've got somebody standing on a stage and the hypnotist's voice is running their perceptual system, we call that the state of hypnosis, then the person who's told by the hypnotist is standing on the deck of a ship, their perceptual construct will be that of seeing themselves standing on the deck of a ship. That's how perception works, whoever's running the system. And so as long as we're stuck in that carbon-based memory system, as long as we're relying on perception, then the thing we can best do is dual. We can build brain cells that relate to truth, and truth being the actuality, what is, letting it come in and teach us, making a space where instead of carbon-based memory, instead of the past firing in brain cells, coming forward and trying to force us to believe whatever it is that's going on in our minds is the truth about what's going on out there. When we can allow truth to come in and cause brain cells to fire, then our perception is going to tend to be in alignment with truth. Otherwise, it'll tend to be whatever's firing. So when we find things based in hostility or fear, which obliviate truth, and we apply forgiveness, then we're weakening the content of brain cells that hold that which is out of alignment with truth. So that's half of the project. The other half of the project is building the brain cells for truth, building the brain cells, putting content into the mind that's in alignment with the truth of who we are and how we function and what's actually going on in the world. And then we'll get to the point where perceptual constructs will be more and more in alignment with the actuality. Whatever the mind generates, if the brain cells that perception is based in are in alignment with truth, then our perception is going to tend to be in alignment with truth. So that comes to, the next level of that of corrected perception. You remember in the lesson, What is the World, in the Course in Miracles, it says, perception is a skill made up by you to take the place of what the Creator gave you. When I correct perception, at least instead of vying with the Creator's actuality, I've got a mind that's giving me truth information that's in harmony, perceptual constructs in harmony with truth. Then I can get to the point where I collapse carbon-based memory altogether, and I allow truth through my higher faculties to enter the mind and write meanings in my mind, become aware of information directly from the actuality. Now I'm in a state that we would call enlightened perception. So we have just ordinary everyday perception, whatever is firing in brain cells. So, 6 people stand there and watch an accident happen. They all go into a courtroom, and all 6 of them, you'd swear were in a different accident by the stories they tell, because each one is experiencing what their brain cells told them based upon what was resonated to them by the accident. It wasn't told to them by the accident. It was told to them by the brain cells that were resonated by the accident. So that's ordinary level perception. We go in, we remove hostility and fear, we build in truth, and we get corrected perception. And then, once we're willing to let go of carbon-based memory altogether, truth can come in and write meanings, and we'll be standing in a space of enlightened perception. Everything changes at that point. And we're looking to support that kind of everything changing in this process of learning forgiveness. And so let's turn back to the chapter on words could never say. And we're on page 15 in the book, if you're following along with us, the top of the page. We've just been talking to Richard about the idea of a two-dimensional creature and how a two-dimensional creature, being short one perception, not having a third dimension perception, misses something. We used an example of a basketball. So imagine we've got a two-dimensional creature, experiences only length and width, and you pass a basketball through its sphere, through its space. What does it experience? It experiences a series of dots separated by time. First end is a small dot. Dot gets a little bigger, a circle, smaller, dot. And it took time to experience it. So now in an arena where there is no time, and there are not a series of separate events, but one singular event, we just created separation in time. So that's the example we're using with Richard, and I've asked him, let's see, let me get back to the question we asked. I'm asking, based on that one-dimensional or two-dimensional creature's experience, I'm asking the question, is it possible that having a limited perception about an event, we could experience things that didn't happen? And he admits, he says, I guess so. How do you go about assisting a two-dimensional friend to bypass the false realities in her mind so she can experience an actual basketball? Do you think that if you and I talk with her and explain what a basketball is really about, we will be able to get her to come and play basketball with us? Is our explanation going to make any sense? I mean, we talk about a singular event. She just experienced 200 separate events. Obviously, you can do all the explaining in the world. It's not going to happen. When we tell her experience never happened, do you think she might be offended? I asked. Richard grinned. I can hear her now. Who do you think you are? I've experienced these flat planes. I know. Yeah, the difficulty, of course, is that she's experienced in basketball as a series of flat planes. How do you explain to her that she's seen something that doesn't exist? What do we do with that? Can we teach her about basketballs? Is it possible to give her enough descriptions of a basketball that she will give up all of her two-dimensional history, her experience, everything her parents and history have taught her? And of course, that's a metaphor for what we're asking you to do. Are you willing to give up everything the world has taught you? Are you willing to give up everything the world has taught you and have that replaced by a direct experience of the active presence of love in every circumstance? So I go on and say to him, do you think she'll say, okay, I believe you. I've been all wrong? Not highly likely. Do you think any number of words that she can understand will explain the real meaning of a basketball to her? Obviously not, because her whole vocabulary is based on the limited experience and the distortions of a two-dimensional creature. Her words only reflect the realities with which she is familiar. There are no words in her language for the three-dimensional perspective of a basketball. Now think about this in our human terms. Do we have words for what we have in experience? No, we only have words for the experiences that we have in common. If we were Floridians who had never seen snow, how many descriptive words might we have for it? Perhaps 3 or 4, which would be adequate for our experience with snow. We wouldn't have a lot of descriptors because snow is not a major part of our lives. Now, if we go to Alaska and interview an Eskimo, things would be different. I understand they have some 27 plus words for snow, an important part of their environment. If in Alaska, I'm going to go out and do some cross-country travel, and you describe the snow conditions inaccurately, I might use the wrong snowshoes and perish. The realities present in a mind and the words used to represent those realities tend to be limited by the experiences of that mind. So what chance do you suppose you'd have? Let's say you were brought up in an environment of people who were quite often at odds with each other, arguing, fighting, separation. What chance do you suppose there'd be that they would have supported you building the brain cells for themselves and you as beings of love? And if that wasn't what they gave you, if they gave you criticism, condemnation, gossip, slander, vengeance, criticism, anger, rage, hatred, put-downs, destructive speech about themselves, about each other, how long do you suppose it's going to take to start to catch on to the truth of the fact that you were created in the image and likeness of love and are, in fact, that presence? What's it going to take? I go on with the conversation with Richard. Let's imagine our two-dimensional friend makes the shift and experiences playing basketball. Is there any way she can explain to her friends what a basketball really is? So how many of you have had a spiritual experience? I mean, something opens up and wow, you have an experience, and you go to somebody notices how excited you are and how enlivened you are, and they say, what just happened to you? And you turn around to explain it, and there are no words for the experience. Well, I had this experience, and no words. Notice if you've had a spiritual experience and then you stepped into try to explain to someone and there were no words for it. Notice over time that perhaps you put together some words where you were able to begin to describe it. And, to a great degree, that's the effort of this work, is to put together a language that we can experience in common because we've used the tools that take us to the experience, where we can actually start to develop language that describes a direct experience that is closer to the actuality than the realities that we've been trained into. So again, the question becomes, can she explain the basketballs to her friends? Can you imagine her excitement? Broken the chain of history and now comprehends the meaning of basketball. She approaches her friends and says, with a display of enthusiasm, I finally know the truth about basketballs. They are, wait a minute. There aren't any words in our vocabulary that accurately describe a basketball. How can I speak to you about what I've experienced? You might imagine her saying things, well, you know, there are many things I want to say to you, but you can't hear them. Richard broke in. All the words from our world aren't going to be of any use to her because the world she knows, though based on the same actuality, describe a totally different reality. So if your mind habituates realities based in fear, separation, disease, trauma, pain, hatred, or vengeance, our invitation to you is to apply forgiveness to remove those energetic patterns and make the space for the actual experience of yourself as the presence of love and the actual experience of those around you as the presence of love. So again, Richard says, you know, all the words in our world aren't going to be able to do it. And I come back to Richard and say, I agree. And this addresses both your question, how can life be so different from the way I perceive it? And our friend's question, how can the basketball be other than a series of flat planes separated by time? How do you get around such a predicament, he asked. And so we'll stop there and open the phone lines. Anybody have a thought for us? Anything moving for anyone out there? A question, a thought, anything happening in the chat room, Jeannie? Are you mute challenged, Jeannie?
Yeah. Yeah, when the phone goes to sleep, then I have to wake it up in order to even flip back over. Anyway, there's no hands up, I believe. Well, Joan's hand's up, but I believe that she was talking to Dr. Kim, but let me turn on her mic and make sure.
Well, let's say hello to the young lady anyway.
Hi, Joan.
Hi.
Hey there, young lady. How are you?
I'm good, and you?
I am rocking, doing well, thank you.
How's your back today?
I was just going to say, just about through my my back healing crisis. It's probably about 10% of what it was at its height yesterday. So I'm rocking, moving around well, and delighted to have gone through that little blip, and many times have been so appreciative of the fact that I understand the healing process and how, you know, when I got in touch with that particular thought that came up the other day and where it was located in my body, understanding that, well, there's probably going to be some stuff move there, and sure enough it did. And I didn't have to go run and take a pill or anything like that. It's just, okay, well, I'll be with this. I'll keep doing the right things and move through it. And here I am on the other side, just rock and roll.
Awesome. That's
it is.
fabulous.
It's awesome to understand.
Yeah.
Thank God for the tools.
Yes. So I'm having great difficulty indeed when I read the book, Bending the Two-Dimension World. I just can't grasp it. I don't have the brain cells for that.
Well, let's imagine that you're a two-dimensional, a three-dimensional creature experiences length and width and height. You'll think about that as a box. So we've got a box, just shipping box just came in, and it's 12 inches high, it's 18 inches long, and it's 8 inches wide.
Right.
Now that's our three-dimensional experience of it. Let's become a two-dimensional creature, and let's take away one dimension. The box is now 12 inches by 8 inches. There is no height. I can't experience height. So now I'm seeing a flat plane. I'm just seeing a square or a rectangular flat plane. Does that make sense?
Well, yes, it makes sense, but I can't imagine it. I mean, because my mind says, well, it's got to have.
Because you're a three-dimensional creature. But let your mind loose for a minute and imagine a two-dimensional creature that doesn't know anything about the third dimension.
I can give you a good example.
Go for it, Jeannie.
It was probably a year, maybe even a little longer, before Aria had the perception of edges. Like, she'd be walking along, and if we weren't right there, she'd have just stepped off the porch or stepped off a step or whatever. She didn't see the depth that it would go down.
She had the brain cells to generate that.
She finally developed that, edge definition that, I need to stop here and do something different. But there for a while, she would have just stepped off, and I think most babies do that.
Oh.
Okay. I can
all babies
get
do.
that.
So, and that's a perfect example, Jeannie. Thank you for bringing that up. And so, until she had the brain cells, she had a surface she could walk on, and that's all she knew. Her brain did not generate the difference in height. It's a two-foot step down from the edge of our porch to the grass, and her brain could not generate a perception of that, could not generate that reality. So imagine we've got a two-dimensional creature. Let's go back to the basketball. And the two-dimensional creature knows only length and width, but has no knowledge of height. And now we've got the two-dimensional creature's dilemma. So if I pass the basketball into that two-dimensional creature's space, what does she experience? She experiences the first edge of the basketball, but since there's no height, it's just a little dot to her, length and width. So it's a dot, maybe, a 1/16 of an inch. I move it a little deeper into her space, and it becomes 1/8 of an inch. I move it a little deeper into her space, and it's another flat plane that's now 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch, 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches. But it's still a flat plane because she cannot perceive. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So now, you and I experience a basketball, and it's just a singular event, and there's no time involved in experiencing it. It's just a basketball. There it is. I don't experience a first and a last with basketball, but for her, that first little dot she experienced, she says, well, that's the first piece of the basketball, and every move through her space becomes a separate experience. So she slices this world of oneness into a series of flat planes. The first edge of the basketball, she says, came early, and the last edge of the basketball came last or late. And all the slices in between are separate experiences for her. And one of the things the Course says is, we have given life in separation. So we separate these things out. Einstein says, if you think you're separate or separated from the rest of humanity, you're living in an optical delusion. Now, relative to you and I, who have 3 dimensions of perception, where the basketball is a singular experience, the two-dimensional creature is in false perception. She's in an optical delusion. She says, this is the first edge of the basketball. That is the last edge of the basketball. Therefore, I know there's a thing called time. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a first and a last. So just invented time. And she just invented all these separate, if we were to give them personalities or names, the first little dot that she experiences, let's call that Bill, and the second one's Mary, and then the third one's Harry, and the fourth one's Hortense, and all the way. So now we've got all these separate creatures, these separate flat planes named, and they don't exist. But her perception tells her that they do. When I can start to apply that to the fact that I'm, at least according to Einstein, at least a 4-dimensional creature, I'm short a dimension of perception, living in a 3-dimensional world. What else is available? Until I can get her, the 2-dimensional creature, to put away everything she believes about these separate flat planes and time, until I can get her to put that away, she can never play basketball with us. And that's a metaphor for we want to put away, we want to forgive all of the experiences we've had based on separation and make room for something new to come in. And that something new is the direct experience of connectedness and oneness.
Now,
the other night, go ahead.
Direct 3 dimensions.
Well, we've got the capacity for 4, but our culture hasn't supported us in it. So it is absolutely possible. We shared on the show the other day a series of, excuse me, go ahead.
What is the 4th dimension?
Well, remember the title of this chapter, Words Could Never Say?
Right.
Until we have brain cells for it, we don't have language for it. Until it's in common experience, there is no language. So we speak around it. You know, like when people try to get me to define love, I never say, well, it's this, 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 or that. I say, go hold a newborn. Have an actual direct experience. Bypass all of your limited perception and let yourself be in that experience.
Right.
And then bring that back to your limited perceptual mind, and your limited perceptual mind will begin a transformation process where it makes room for something new.
We have not experienced the 4th dimension. We just accepted on faith that there is a 4th dimension.
Well, you might not accept it on faith. You might not even think about it. You might not ever know anything about it. And you might one day have an experience of it. You know, one of my early experiences of it, the other day on the show we were talking about the Netflix series we've been watching that is really powerful. It's called Call the Midwife. It's a series that went on. Have you watched it?
Yes, I binge watched it a number of times. I love it.
It's powerful. Well, and I think what's most powerful about it is that it's experiencing everything of life that there is, from the drama and the trauma, death, loss of, everything. But the twist is always coming from Rachma. It's always being seen through a set of eyes that are connected to love. Well, one of the shows we watched the other night was a show where they went to a handicap home. And there are all these kids who've got different types of physical, mental, and emotional difficulties. So relative to the average person's state of mind, this is a pretty traumatic home. And people look and for me, I had some friends, students back in Atlanta when I taught back there. This is 42, 43 years ago. And they ran a group home for handicapped adults. And I remember going to visit them once. They actually lived in this home, but I went to visit them, and I think there were maybe 14 or 15 handicapped adults. And there were different types of mental, emotional, and physical handicaps. And I can remember going into that house, and it was kind of like the hackles on the back of my neck went up, and I was in resistance, and it was like, what do I do with this? And I had gone to spend the day with them. And about interacting with these people who at first I was in resistance to, didn't want to go near, didn't know what to say, didn't know what to do, just, lost. And about maybe 2/3 of the way through the day, there was an opening for me in being with these people. There was such a presence of love from them that it opened that space in me. And I had it wasn't my first one, maybe my second time, that I had a direct experience of what, has been referred to as cosmic consciousness. I just shifted out of that resistance and fear that I had of these people that were different and handicapped and, quote unquote, I lived in a world where I'd been told there's something wrong with them. The presence of love over a period of hours was so profound that it opened that space of love in me in a most amazing way, a direct physical experience of the presence of active love was what happened for me in that home with those people. It was the sweetest thing. And on the other side of that experience, where when I got there that morning, it was like, don't come near me, don't touch me, I don't want to touch you. It was just total, complete embrace. I mean, this is the presence of love. So the metaphor of the three-dimensional, four-dimensional, or the two-dimensional, three-dimensional creature, my take is it applies to us. And that if we live disabled in our ability to experience the direct active presence of love, we're missing a full dimension of life.
Yeah.
And we bring that in, it changes everything. Just like, for the two-dimensional creature who only sees this series of flat planes, all of a sudden it's a basketball, and they can play basketball with us. Everything transforms.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So does that make sense of that one?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Cool. Sweet. Honored and delighted. Delighted to have you on the team. Delighted to be playing with you.
Well, I'm delighted to be playing with you guys, too. Very delighted. And I'm thinking, Michael, that, that training that I was so involved in the Twilight Brigade.
Right.
I'm thinking that training moves people into another dimension.
That space. Perfect.
Yeah.
Sweet. That's, for me, that's why when you said you were going to do it up in the Northeast, it's like, I'm going.
Oh, yeah.
And bummer it got canceled, but, to me, anything that can help us to step into that space, that can help build the brain cells, can help to build the direct experience is so profound and so powerful.
Yeah. I asked Daniel Brinkley on Facebook Messenger several weeks ago, were we ever going to be able to do that training again? And he said yes. And when I said when, he didn't answer. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Ouch. Well, maybe send him a note and just say you're getting ready to schedule it. See what he replies.
Oh, no, we've been told that we cannot do it anymore until I don't know what. We've been told that we cannot provide that training anymore.
Excuse me, say it again.
Cannot provide that training anymore until further notice.
Okay, well, c'est la vie, I guess. Maybe the way to inspire Daniel would be to propose a date and say, here's when I'd like to do it. Does that work okay for you? Maybe he'll respond positively.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah. I mean, all he can say, the worst he can say is no. The answer won't be any different.
Right.
Put it out there with, well, here I am. I'm getting ready to do it. See if he just gives a stamp of approval.
That's a great idea, Michael.
Yeah. Give it a shot. And, with COVID and all, maybe it's something you could do on Zoom.
To think about that.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with the training, so I don't know. But
yeah, but there is a portion, like part of the still point breathing, that is the touching part.
Right.
There are things like that in that training.
Mm-hmm. And is that something you could demonstrate with another person there, and each person in the training has a partner with them?
That's a possibility.
I mean,
That's a real
creative work, but
Yeah. Well, I'll have to do some brainstorming with some of my colleagues, the other trainers.
Cool. Well, you've got my support.
Thank you, Michael.
All right, dear heart. Anything else on your mind for today, then?
That's all. Thank you.
All right, blessings.
We have another hand up, and I believe this one is Scott, 480. You're on the air.
Hi.
Hey,
you there, Michael?
Welcome, good sir. Welcome.
Well, first, thanks for giving me the credit for doing the apology tool. I didn't do anything except
You asked.
come up with it. I did.
You put
asked.
me in gear to do it.
Yeah, you set the inspiration, so.
Right. I'll take credit for the inspiration. However, you asked me to actually do it, but I didn't do anything. I was going to do it. And I'm quite glad to see that it was done for me. That's great.
There you go.
Okay.
Maybe we'll take that bit of conversation that explains it and attach it to that PDF. Can we do that, Dean?
I will set that goal.
So what have you got on your mind today, sir?
Oh, boy. Okay, so.
Is life giving you more opportunities to learn forgiveness? That old boy sounded like, all right.
Listen, I kid you not. At work at the gas station yesterday, and I wrote all of these down. In fact, I may write a book entitled "Everything I Need to Unlearn, I Unlearned at a Gas Station."
That's great. That's great.
8 things came up yesterday at the station. 8.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer to your question is, oh, yes. Okay.
Sounds like it was a very productive day.
Well, okay. So,
you said
yes,
you wanted it.
When did I say that?
That you wanted to get through all this dis-ease stuff. So here's life giving you the gift.
Okay.
Oh, you didn't really want to go through it. You just wanted to have it go away by itself. Oh, I see. Okay, I understand.
Of course. I believe in magic, don't you?
No.
Yeah, I know.
No, I believe in people doing the work.
Right. Yeah, it was a joke. Okay, so, and yesterday, my attitude toward every bit of it was, this is fantastic, this is great, this is an opportunity. Thank you, Yeshua, for dumping all of this on me at once. I literally saw it.
You think Yeshua dumped it on you, not you yourself. Okay. No projection.
Yeshua, no. Yeshua and me, myself, with a capital S, and Ruka. They all brought this to my attention so that I could see it clearly and see it as a gift and then use it, because it's just what you said. This is the work I have to do. This is what I need to get through in order to be free of all this stuff. So I had absolute appreciation for it yesterday. Okay?
And that is slightly different languaging than Yeshua dumped all this on me yesterday.
I say that half
jokingly.
I know. I say it jokingly, but maybe there's, you know what? Not maybe. There. If I get down to it, in fact, I'll write that down. Yeah. There's probably a grain of, there's probably some denial in there and a grain of truth about seeing myself as being dumped on. Okay, so thanks for bringing that to my attention. Because clearly,
it's interesting. It's interesting. The definition we use of denial in this work is something that I was
specifically guided to use. It's not a definition I've ever heard anywhere else before, anything even close to the definition, and that is that the
Michael, lift your microphone closer to your mouth. You're muffled.
I have it there, Stevie. I don't know what to say. There it is. Is that any better? Any different?
Not really.
No.
It's crackling a little bit.
Let's see if I can reach a different microphone again. Just a moment. Hold for it. Is that any better?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It is better?
Much.
Good. Okay. Well, then I'll let loose of this microphone. So, as I was saying, there's nowhere else that I know of this definition of denial, and that is when I think or speak as though something outside of me is the cause of something moving inside of me. I'm in denial. And, I've watched people who've worked with these tools and literally been part of the conversation since that definition came forward. It actually has come forward since we started the radio show. So I've watched people be there the first time I used that definition, brought it forward, and had them express, oh, that's so good, that's so powerful, and they still live in denial. It's not an easy game to let loose of, an eternity of language that convinces our minds to believe that somebody outside of me is the cause of is actually the cause of what's moving inside of me. That's a big piece of work to do. So it's subtle, but.
Mm-hmm. Well, may I make a suggestion? Not a statement.
Go for
really it. Okay. Denial's probably the number one drug, the number one opiate, and we use it specifically for one reason, and that is to feel safe. We don't want to look beneath the denial because we're afraid. Period.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%.
But let me take the we out of everything I just said and switch it to I. I'll speak for myself.
Okay.
But I am now willing to peel off the denial and look. Speaking of which, oh boy. So this morning, Michael, the symptoms, the physical symptoms, just the sinuses and the headache were just raging, and the irritability factor was a level 10.
Ouch.
Okay. Yes, and it's not as bad now, but that's because for the last 2 hours I've been doing work. That's my guess. Okay, so yeah, I will find the space, the place to be grateful for the irritability and the symptoms that came up, because it led me to do something, which was I got out the reality management short form,
right,
which is on future worksheets to do, and I have a pile of scrap papers that I've been writing notes on of upsets that have come up for me, and I started writing them all out on the short forms, and I came up with, in 2 hours, I have 7 pages of stuff, and I'm not even halfway through the stack.
Awesome.
So right, this is a dump. And one of the things that you said the last time I was in the program, at the very end of the program, you said something that just struck me like a bolt of lightning. This was in regard to what you described that you had made, and if I will, an unholy act with your dad. You would cooperate his plan for you, more or less. And well, this is what I think. I'll do this correctly. This is what I thought I heard you say. You would
it sounds from where I am, your voice is cutting in and out. I don't know if you're moving your phone or moving your head, but you're coming in clear, and then your voice gets where I can almost not hear it.
When I talk about this stuff, I move my head.
Okay. Well, if you can keep your phone close to your mouth so we can hear you, because we're losing some of your words.
All right, I moved it. So this is what I thought I heard you say, is that you had made a pact to cooperate with your dad's plan for you. Is that correct?
That would be accurate.
Well, so did I, clearly. And so it rung a bell as soon as I heard it. And I'm telling you, Michael, for decades, I have wondered, if something falls off the table. Yesterday, a knife fell off the table, and the rage just came up. And it's the smallest thing. And when I look at what is the goal or the perceived need that I have there, it's for cooperation. Only you would cooperate with me, knife, then I would be peaceful and happy. And I look at that. And I frame it.
Cooperation? Yeah. Is it cooperation or perfection?
That's great. It's cooperate. Yes, absolutely. And this is the thing that's come up for me lately, is the understanding that what my dad is demanding from me, my power person, which is part of the plan, was perfection. And boy, I've watched myself at work lately, and when I make a mistake, holy crap, does the fear come up. Because
how about a mind shifter?
Okay.
Everyone in my life has always embraced me deeply. And then, even more deeply embrace me when I do not fulfill their goals for me.
The automatic response that came up was, yeah, right.
Okay. First thing on the opposite side of the page. Perfect.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so, yeah, thanks for that tip, because when I did this brain dump, okay, perfection is just popping up all over the place. And one of my favorite things that I remember from attending that workshop of yours 30 years ago was that the ego has a cheap copy of everything of God. And the most standout example of that is the perfection of God and of myself with a capital S. The ego's cheap copy of that is perfectionism. And perfectionism is all through the lower mind, and it's related to the body, and in its perfectionism in the world. It's all outside of me, yada yada. And so I'm taking a close look at all of that. Closer look. But here's what happened in this brain dump of mine that I thought might be helpful to other people who are in the intensive, just in general. That, for example, I know someone who's a little challenged by coming up with the thoughts that are driving, the feelings and the experience. And Michael, because of my background in the course, I've come up with a litany of different thoughts that are driving all of this for me. I mean, with a wide variety of types of thoughts, that I thought it might be helpful if I got this out to people, because if I'm guessing that if one person's having difficulty identifying the thoughts that drive the whole thing, there's probably more people than just one. And I've got 25 different kinds here. So, you know, I'll leave that up to you. I don't know where the platform for that might be. It's too long to put on WhatsApp, that's for sure. But I do think this might be helpful. And then along those lines, you and I had a conversation recently where I brought up that I thought that Course in Miracles, along with your work, those were like the left hand and the right hand, and in my process. And it's so, having the Course for me to go along with your work I'm so easily able to identify the thoughts that drive the emotions and how deeply they go, and how this is, you know, this is not just about my power person. This is about my relationship with God and how I've set myself up to be weak, to believe that I'm capable of being attacked, and how I need to protect myself and compete and survive and everything else. And so, to me, the Course, along with your work, is everything that I need in terms of releasing myself from this has been handed to me on a silver platter. If I knew it, the response that I got, what I thought I heard as a response from you.
Your voice keeps disappearing.
Oh, okay. What I thought I heard as a response from you regarding the statement of the Course and your work go together like two hands was, I agree. And is that right? Is that accurate?
That's my take, yes.
Because
the what I've worked to do, the Course talks about itself just being one form of the Course, and I've worked to integrate every form of the Course I've been able to find, whether it's from the psychological perspective, the theological perspective, the physiological perspective, the physics perspective. It's bring and when you build the brain cells simultaneously in many different conceptual languages, that just makes the work easier to do. That empowers the whole process.
I agree wholeheartedly. And this is an experience that I had just a couple days ago. The lesson was my attack thoughts are attacking my invulnerability. Oh, first let me say this. As I mentioned to you in a text, I'm doing the workbook and reading the text right now, and I'm circling every time I see the word goal. And there's a lot of them. And that is directly related to the core of your work. Letting go of these false goals, and it's all over the Course. That's what I mean when I say it.
It's the root of forgiveness in the first century Aramaic.
Yes, and then the other day I'm doing that lesson. It's in the early 20s. Not the first time I've done it, but my attack thoughts are attacking my invulnerability, and then this is the lesson. Anytime that an attack thought comes up to me, or fear, anger, whatever, I recognize it. I say, and what I'm afraid will happen. Let me give an example here. Okay, so I make a mistake at work, and suddenly this fear comes up, and so I direct my thinking toward, suddenly I'm afraid because I've made this mistake. And what is it that I'm afraid of? Well, I'm afraid of punishment, that I've made a mistake and somehow I'm going to be punished for it. that comes directly from my power person dynamic, sure. And that I'm afraid I'm going to die. And then it goes to that thought is an attack upon myself with a capital S. And Michael, I worked with that lesson throughout the day, and I couldn't believe what happened. Suddenly, there's this total transformation of me. I let go of all the stuff by doing that one lesson. Suddenly, I was in a state of being and peace, and all of that stuff just went away. And a lot of it, I think, has to do with the fact that I understand clearly what Yeshua is attempting to get at with me releasing this stuff into the hands of Ruka, and then bang, just like that. I mean, it literally was a miracle. I went from being uptight and fearful and all this stuff, and the next thing I knew, it was a complete opposite. I was totally at peace. And it was a total switch and change of mind. It was awesome.
Your trifling treasure put away. Leave a clean and open space within your mind for love to come.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So, my 2 cents worth is, and I'm going to offer this to people in the intensive who are either already part of the doing the course, and those that have an interest in it. I either want to connect. I want to connect with them to see what's going on, and I may offer something in terms of like I just did with the thoughts and the stuff that's come up for me that might help other people in the intensive identify what's really going on. Because in stripping away the denial, holy cow, the stuff that's underneath is pretty
We're down
incredible.
to 1 minute.
I know. Okay, I'm done.
That's what it takes. Stripping it away. Awesome.
Okay.
Well, nice piece of work, and holding the space for every layer and every level that needs to happen to come through, and for everyone to have the best year yet of your eternal lives, recognizing it's an awesome gift to give the world. Blessings, everybody. Bye-bye.
I choose to live more consciously, evolving continuously.
Thank you for listening to Mind Shifters Radio with Dr. Michael Ryce and myself, Jeannie Ryce, and Dr. Tim Hayes and Michelle Pichet, as we present the first century Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. We are here for 2 hours every Monday through Friday from 12 noon to 2 o'clock Eastern Time on Mind Shifters Radio. For more information on Aramaic forgiveness, please visit www.whyagain.org. That's www on Aramaic forgiveness. Please visit www.whyagain.org. That's www.whyagain.org.